What do you do after launching one of the most praised budget premium customs in the history of modern mechanical keyboards? Well, in the case of TKD, you double down. After 1 year since the incredibly successful group buy of the Cycle8, a keyboard that I went on record saying it was the new benchmark of bang for the buck, TKD is back with its successor, the TKD Cycle8. And this time, for $16 more, they made it a real TKL, with 16 more keys. But they kept all the elements that made the Cycle7 so special. Great build quality, features, and ease of assembly. And they also brought a brand new element to the party, the option to go with Hall effect technology, to give you ultra smooth switches, variable actuation for typists, and rapid trigger for gamers. So today we'll take a good look at this board to see what makes it tick, and to help you decide if this should be your next TKL. Hello and welcome to IOSam. Today, as you can see, I'm not on my regular studio. In fact, I haven't had a regular studio for a few months now, which is why I haven't uploaded in so long. But my nomadic Airbnb life in 2024 is not going to prevent me from reviewing the TKD Cycle8. When keycaps.io asked me if I was interested in reviewing it, despite being on the road and not having my usual video gear, I still had to say yes. I was just too excited about this board to not make a video about it. So, as you can expect, this will be a different video from my usual super in-depth content, where I'll focus mainly on the differences between this new board and its predecessor, and also to cover another aspect of the Cycle8 that really piqued my interest, but that I haven't seen anyone covering yet. The option to turn this custom TKL into a bit of a gaming beast with the Rakka HE PCB kit, a $129 upgrade that can turn this keyboard into a fancy Wooting competitor. And as I said, this sample was sent to me by keycaps.io, but I don't get paid by Keycaps nor TKD to make this video, and they won't see this before you do. I also don't have any affiliation with Keycaps, but as usual, I'll have links for everything in the video description below. And some of the parts and tools I'll use here do have affiliate links from DiviniKey and other partner retailers, so any purchases from those links do help to support this channel. Starting with the package, just like the Cycle7, the 8 also comes with a carrying case, which is always appreciated, of course. My unit came in the raw color, this bluish gray that will look awesome with some retro-style keycaps, and it has an improved version of their TKD coating, which I raved about on the Cycle7. Inside the accessories box, you'll find the non-flex cut PCB, hot swap in my sample, and the plate, which they sent me the FR4. You also get a foam kit with case, PCB, and PE foam sheets, and individual bags with a C3 stabilizer set, bompons, rubber beans, and gasket rings. The layout here is a full TKL with print screen, scroll lock, and pause keys, which will be great to save a few macros on, and to put some novelty or artisan caps to good use if you have some of those laying around. I, for one, am super happy they went with a full TKL for this round. Since me being the old school Gen Xer I am, TKL is my favorite layout. While I don't use the F4 at home, I do use it at work, so it is nice to have the functions key there just in case. TKD offers versions of the top case with and without the RGB window. Mine came with the window, which might have a polarizing design to some, but I have to say that the RGB implementation here was really classy, so I like having the lighting accent on the nav cluster just to break the monotony. They also offer the option for both anodization and their TKD coating, which is their exclusive powder coating process that offers this awesome matte finish, which is easy to grip and don't show fingerprints. As for the actual design of the case, unlike the Cycle7 with its mostly straight lines, here TKD added a bit more flair on the sides, with these curved cuts and deeper grooves to make it easier to handle. The seams here are also only visible from the bottom. The top surface follows basically the same minimalism of its predecessor, slightly taller horizontal bezels with tiny chamfers all around. Nothing too crazy. TKD offers 14 colors for you to choose from, 7 for each type of finish. There is basically a color for every possible taste here. For the bottom piece, while I got a fully brushed one that they offered for the Chinese market, which I kind of prefer over the fingerprint magnet that is the mirror finish of PVD, Keycaps told me that this fully brushed option will not be available for the Western group buy. It seems to have something to do with the quality control that did not come out too good, which I can confirm, since I can see some weird discoloration on the edges. So for the Western markets, you only get the versions with brushed sides and polished or PVD middle, in multiple colors. On the inside is where we have the star of the show of the Cycle line, the ball and catch mechanism that makes it a breeze to open this keyboard for upgrades or maintenance. Here, you'll only need tools if you intend to add the optional weights or batteries for the wireless PCB. Like the Cycle7, the 8 also has integrated force brake rubber pads on the bottom, and now they also added foam strips on the sides of the top half to damp vibrations and improve the sound profile. The daughter board stays hidden under the weight cover, which mine has the standard anodized aluminum, but that you can upgrade to brushed stainless steel or brass for additional weight and even better sound. TKD also offers two choices of inner weight as an optional upgrade: stainless steel or brass. You have the choice for plates in aluminum, polycarbonate, or FR4, which is the one I got on my sample. For mounting systems, you have two choices: the softer gasket beans, which are the same ones I used on my Cycle7, or the firmer gasket rings, which should not be confused with the traditional and larger rubber ring mounts that many keyboards use around the PCB and plate assembly. The ring gaskets here are just small rubber rings that you place around the plate tabs. Because my build has the Rakka HE PCB, I had to use the ring gaskets, which is the only option for the Rakka. But if you go with the included PCB, you can try both mounting options to see which one you prefer. While the Cycle line is not designed to be bouncy or super flexy keyboards, if you go with the FR4 or PC plate and with the gasket beans, you get a decent amount of plate movement, as was the case with the Cycle7. Probably even more here, since the plate in PCB is taller on the Cycle8. But even with the stiffer Rakka kit, there's still enough give to be a bit forgiving to your fingers, at least for light typists like me. And before we discuss the Rakka PCB, let me give a quick shout out to my friends at PCBWay. If you're watching this video, I take a wild guess you're into custom keyboards, right? So, if you ever decide to go from a keyboard consumer to a keyboard designer, you might want to check out PCBWay's prototyping, manufacturing, and assembly of PCBs, as well as their CNC machining and 3D printing services you might need to produce keyboard cases and plates. Regardless if you need to produce just a few PCBs or even a single prototype board, PCBWay is a one-stop shop that covers everything you need from PCB fabrication to assembly. And if you're a small business in need of more advanced PCB manufacturing techniques, PCBWay has you covered. They offer a wide variety of custom options for your project, as well as some of the most sophisticated PCB manufacturing options in the market. Check the video description below for more information and for $5 off your first order. And huge thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video and for supporting the keyboard hobbyist community. For PCBs, you can go wired or wireless solder, wired hot swap, or wired hot swap Hall effect, which is what I'm going to focus on here. All PCBs are regular 1.6mm thickness with no cuts, and TKD claims they changed suppliers for a higher quality construction than before. As far as software goes, all PCBs, with the exception of the Rakka, are QMK and VIA compatible, including the wireless option, which is great to see. But as I said in the intro, the Rakka AG solution offered here is the main attraction for this board in my opinion. They have developed an exclusive PCB for the Cycle8, which seems to be Rakka's third generation product, after their own pom-pom board and Rakka 60 keyboards. Rakka has been around since 2023, and while it has been hard to find much information about this team, they seem to be one of the first purveyors of Hall effect PCBs for custom keyboards. The idea behind this project is pretty clear: to offer a similar hardware and software experience from what you get with Wooting AG keyboards, but designed specifically for custom boards. Ever since I started using Wooting keyboards around 3 years ago, mostly for gaming, I always wished I could use the same analog switch tech on a custom board. For those who don't know, Hall effect switch technology is basically a way to determine where the switch stem is in its travel trajectory height-wise, and then giving you the ability to set where exactly you want the actuation point to be, which is not something you can do on traditional mechanical switches that have fixed actuation and reset points. AG PCBs use sensors to register keystrokes by detecting changes in a magnetic field. When a key is pressed, a magnet moves closer to the sensor, which changes its proximity and generates a voltage change. The keyboard's controller then detects this voltage change and signals that the key has been pressed and how far the stem is to the bottom position. This is in fact very old technology that was already used in computer terminals as far back as the late 60s, but that has been revived lately by Wooting, and that is now being implemented by every gaming keyboard company out there, given the quick and precise movement advantages that it provides in twitchy games. And besides the obvious durability advantages you get with the AG tech, since there is no mechanical parts rubbing against each other causing wear and tear, the other main advantages of the AG keyboards are smoothness, again, because there is no physical contact to trigger actuation; configurability, since the controller knows exactly where the key press is at any given moment, and can set the actuation point anywhere you want along the way; and precision, since they don't have the dead zones that you can get with analog controllers, for example. Hall effect technology is not the only way to achieve an analog switch actuation though. Topper electrostatic capacitive switches offer a similar type of variable actuation on some real force keyboard models, although much more simple and less precise when compared to Hall effect. Wooting itself started with flare-tech optical switches that use light beams to establish the position of the key press, and Razer still uses optical switches for their analog keyboards. But it turns out that magnetic switches have higher resolution than optical ones, which means that AG switches can be set in 0.05mm increments, while optical ones can only go as low as 0.1mm. Now, as far as the Rakka AG kit for the Cycle8 goes, there are a few things you should know. The first is the price difference, of course, since going with this kit will add another $129 to your Cycle8 final price, which, depending on the configuration you pick, can push the keyboard price up closer to $300. But it is important to mention that the Rakka kit is a fully assembled PCB, plate, foam, switches, and stab set that comes ready to place inside of your Cycle8. The only thing you'll have to bring are the keycaps, so you're not paying $129 just for a PCB. But instead you're getting the PCB, the FR4 plate, a foam sheet, the Gateron Jade AG switches, and the plate-mounted stabs. And yes, you heard that right. For some unknown reason, the Rakka AG PCB for the Cycle8 does not support PCB-mounted stabs, and that is a downside to be considered here. I don't know why they made this decision, since their previous Rakka 60 PCB had support for PCB-mounted stabs, and while the included stabs are very good, I know some of you will balk at the idea of using plate-mounted stabs on a $300 build. But for what it's worth, they fit the plate perfectly with no wiggle room, and after I lubed them with my Krytox Mix and XHT BDZ on the wires, it is basically impossible to tell these are plate-mounted stabs. No rattle, no ticks, no clicks, very clean sound. As for lighting, you get a caps lock and scroll lock indicator, and the RGB light strip in the nav cluster, which can be configured on Rakka's web interface. But you don't get per key illumination of any kind, as Rakka says the RGB lighting electrical load would penalize the performance of the switches in the MCU. And this is one important aspect of AG keyboards to consider, because how sensitive the whole magnetic assembly is to be able to provide its crazy high resolution and sensitivity. Not only the quality of the components and the PCB design are super important here, but the switch installation and positioning is also very important. It also explains why Rakka sends you the entire kit already assembled, to avoid the risk of user error when putting this whole thing together. The only thing I had to do here was moving the caps lock switch to the stepped position and removing the stabs for lubing and then placing them back, which was fairly easy to do. And finally, this PCB also has an 8000 Hz polling rate, which is supposed to be better for gaming, but that I'm not in the position to test and ascertain that performance difference. And as far as I can tell, there is no way to change that to a lower setting. So, unless you have a fairly modern and speedy CPU, you should expect the Rakka PCB to tax your system more than a regular 1000 Hz keyboard. The switches included in the kit are Gateron magnetic jades, with a total travel distance of 3.5mm. It has nylon housing with a palm stamp, and it comes pre-lubed from the factory. These switches have a slightly shorter travel distance at 3.5mm than the Wooting lacquer switches at 4mm that come standard in the Wooting 60 AG. By the way, these switches are interchangeable with Wooting lacquer L60 and L45s, so you could technically install lacquer switches on the Rakka board and it would still work just fine. The case measurements are exactly the same of the Cycle7, except for the depth, which is 3.2 cm taller to accommodate the F-row. It also features the same low 2 cm in height in the front side with the bump-ons installed. The typing angle is 8 degrees and it weighs around 2.6 kilograms or 5 pounds and 11 ounces when fully built without any optional weights. For keycaps, I went with what I consider to be the best deal in die sub PBT caps at the moment. JC Studio Runes keycap set that I got from DiviniKey for $39. This set features sub-legends inspired from Norse mythology on a classic beige colorway, which had the perfect retro style I was looking for in this rock TKD coding board. The quality of these caps and the alignment of its legends are on par with the much more expensive Hammerworks CRP sets, which makes these an unbelievable bargain. And now, let's hear how the Cycle8 sounds with its stock weights, with the Rakka AG PCB kit with lubed stock stabs, with both case and plate foam sheets. I know this sounds different from your average custom keyboard with regular mechanical switches. Hall effect switches have this woody sound that is very particular. As a comparison, listen to the Cycle8 side by side with another Hall effect keyboard, the Wooting 60AG, and then with the Cycle7 with its black hyperglides. Does it sound as good as the Cycle7 with PC plates and MX hyperglides? No, but it does sound better than a stock Wooting at least. Although you can make the Wooting to sound better after a few upgrades of course, which I hope to show here in the channel sometime later this year. Even though this is not a board that I built for sound, I'm pretty happy with the way the Cycle7 sounds. It's a bit poppy but not offensively loud. While I didn't receive the optional weights on time for this video, I'm sure that adding some extra weight to this board will give it a bit more of a full and rounded sound profile. So, what do I think of the TKD Cycle8 with the Rakka HE kit? First, I love TKLs, so this is an easy win for me. This is an effortless layout that I can type blindfolded. No need to memorize layers or anything, and it works well for both work and gaming. It is a relatively firm typing experience with the O-ring gaskets, but then again, that comes with the territory on AG keyboards. And with my light typing style, the firm assembly is not a problem for me anyway. But if you're considering picking a Cycle8 just for typing, and you don't care about Hall effect tech, then just go with a PC plate and the gasket beams, and this board will give you more flex and should be a bit more forgiving if you're a heavy typist. When gaming, as anyone who has ever tried Hall effect keyboards with rapid trigger can confirm, this thing is awesome. Rapid trigger means that your key presses have no reset delay, since they reset the moment you retract the key travel. And at any point of retraction, you can press the key again to actuate it, without having to cross a specific fixed actuation point, as it happens on regular mechanical switches. This gives you much quicker response times on FPS and rhythm games. On this example here on the Valorant shooting range, I'm tapping A and D successively and then shooting the wall after each movement. I'm even using the keyboard as well to shoot, so I'm not touching the mouse in this test. You can see that my shots are clustered closer together when I turn on rapid trigger than when I have it off. And that happens simply because my character stops moving faster when rapid trigger is on, which resets my gaming accuracy faster after each movement. By the way, this will get even better after Rakka implements the same no-bind mechanism that Razer calls snap tap and that Wooting now calls SOCD. No bind means that you don't even have to retract one key to reset it, since it will automatically reset the moment you actuate another key, which works great for A and D on FPS games, for example. In the same way Wooting was able to turn this feature on with a simple firmware update, Rakka will certainly be able to do the same thing for the Cycle8. So while I don't have any confirmation that they will, I'll be surprised if they don't, since every analog keyboard manufacturer in the market right now is rushing to try to offer that update to their existing products. For the overall build quality, as was the case with the Cycle7, there's basically nothing to complain about it here. Great design, perfect finish, stupid easy to build, maintain and upgrade, and top-notch performance that doesn't leave anything to be desired when compared to a much more expensive custom, while also giving you the same top-notch tech you'd get from a Wooting board. And because of all that, this board, just like its predecessor, sits by itself in a very unique position. It offers more than any other custom TKL at this price level, while also offering Hall effect technology for basically the same price you'd pay for a top-spec Wooting 80AG. It doesn't beat Wooting on the software side of things, of course. Wooting still reigns supreme with its utility, which is by far the best keyboard software configuration utility I have ever used. So I'm pretty happy to have ordered my 80AG that should ship sometime later this year. Having said that, the Rakka solution is good enough and gets the job done. So the Cycle7 is far more likely to be my day-to-day workhorse simply because as a custom, it offers a better typing experience and other quality of life features than any other production board ever could. If you only care about gaming, just get a Wooting 60AG and use the price difference to mod the Wooting to your heart's content. But if you're looking for a board to play double duty as a workhorse by day and as a gaming speed demon by night, then the TKD Cycle8 with the Rakka HE kit might be the keyboard for you. The Cycle8 group buy closes this Wednesday, July 31st, and the production boards are expected to ship by October 2024. And because the vendor for North America is Clickclack.io, you know you'll be well taken care of. I have no reservations in recommending group buys with them, even if it's your first time doing a group buy. So, are you interested in Hall effect keyboards at all? Does the Cycle8 for $155 stock or $285 with the Rakka HE kit sounds appealing to you? Let me know what you think on the comment section below. And by the way, I'll be back before the end of the year with a new video breaking down the whole Wooting keyboard line. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see that. Thanks for watching, and see you all soon.